Hello everybody, and welcome to another yoga lab. I'm Eric. So today I wanted to take a look at a posture called a tuck handstand. So you'll see this often in the Ashtanga Primary Series right after Utkatasana when you bend forward and you come into this tuck handstand. It's otherwise known as an up-Bakasana. So I wanted to just give a couple of ideas of how to prepare some of my favorites, although there's many ways to prepare for this posture, and also some ideas of what's going on in the posture and some propping that you might want to utilize to help you learn the posture. So the first thing we're going to try is just come lying on our back, and this is one of my favorite ones to warm up with even before I practice the Ashtanga Primary Series or a Vinyasa flow practice, is lying flat on the ground, and I'll take my knees into my chest, and I'll take my arms down by the side of my hips, palms down, and then I'm going to focus on breathing, exhaling, extending my legs out over the floor without touching the floor, and my arms coming over my head without touching the floor. If you need to put a bolster underneath your arms in case your hands can't touch the ground, just so you don't risk injury to the shoulder, then go ahead and do that. So I'm exhaling, extending out in all directions, and then I'll inhale, bring my knees in again, and my arms by my side. And we'll just do that a few times here. I would suggest doing it maybe 3 cycles or 3 sets of 10. And it's exhaling out, squeezing the legs together, arms and legs off the floor, and inhale back in. Exhale out, and inhale back in. Exhale out, inhale back in, and then exhale, knees to the chest. A modification you can add to this to make it a little more challenging would be to lift the head, looking at the toes, and then slowly exhale out, inhale in, exhale out, inhale in, exhale out, inhale in, and exhale, relax your feet to the ground. So I'm just doing it a couple of times, but you may do it at home or in your practice somewhere 3 sets, 10 times. So then once you've done a little bit of warm-up, we also always do a little bit of warm-up for the wrists. And look back at some of my other yoga labs and you'll see some ideas in Yoga Lab 8 and number 7 for some ideas on wrist openers before you do any kind of arm balancing. And I wanted to show you an idea that you can use for this tuck handstand version. So there's 2 things I think about when I think of the tuck handstand when I'm learning it, or teaching it for students. One is the position of the shoulders in relation to the wrist. So in order for it to work, it needs to have the shoulders to come over the wrists when we're first learning it. Eventually, maybe you'll be able to line the shoulders over the wrists, but generally for most people, the shoulders will go past the wrists, so you need to have open wrists. So a lot of that comes from, I think, fear of falling over. But that's something we want to get used to. The other thing is that we want to move slowly from the midsection, the core, with the knees as close to the ribs as we can get them. A lot of times when we're learning this posture and we're doing it maybe against the wall, not that I see anything wrong with using the wall, although I prefer to teach it in the middle of the room so that people learn to glide up instead of jump up, and risk falling over. If you don't know how to land when you're falling over, that could be a bit of an issue. So you could use the wall, however, I find it easier to learn it in the middle of the room to help control the lift more in knowing what position I want to bring my pelvis into and what to do with my shoulders and my wrists here. So this one technique I just wanted to share with you was coming up on 2 blocks on the lowest level and bringing your feet together and taking your hands in front of you, bending your knees if you like. And just as I explained in Yoga Lab, I believe it's 7 and 8, press the base of your index finger to the floor, rotate your forearms towards that index finger, and then rotate your upper arms out so that your chest comes forward more to the front of the mat. Okay, then when I can put more weight into my hands here, I'm going to just practice little hops. Because I'm on the blocks, there's less distance to lift my hips up, and so it's less work for the core.
in the beginning. Yeah, so if we're going to come forward, take a few little hops, and then down again. Come forward, take a few hops, and come down again. Forward, take a few hops, and come down again. Okay, so that may be a little easier for some people when they're first starting out. I don't suggest taking the blocks higher in order to jump up, just so you don't risk hurting your ankles at all. But once you feel comfortable with taking your shoulders past your wrist while standing on the blocks, and you've developed the openness in your hamstrings, your pelvic muscles, your core muscles, your shoulder muscles, then maybe you do it like you start in a downward dog, a little tighter downward dog. Bring your feet together. Do the same positioning with the arms and the hands that I mentioned. And then bending your knees, and just practice with control to glide up. Not so much to jump forward as if you were trying to hit your sacrum into a wall. Glide up, and then come down again. Glide up, and come down again. Then once you're ready, maybe you glide up, and then you learn to take your knees into your ribs, hold it, and then slowly come down. Okay? So, if you're practicing Ashtanga, or you're practicing Vinyasa flow, or you want to practice to come into full handstand, that's a place where I started, is to do that in the middle of the room. And just practice lifting with control and getting used to and getting over the fear so that the shoulders can go past the wrists, yeah, without having those thoughts of, I'm going to fall over. So try that out. Let me know in the comments if you want, and enjoy. Peace out.